Hi, everybody. Welcome to Kingdom of Honor Does Pop Culture. I am your host, Zanman Shane Sabuni. Welcome, my good buddy, the Honorable Jeff.
Hello.
And we're here today to talk to you about a movie called Those Who Wish Me Dead, currently streaming on HBO Max. And uh, we had some stuff go on in my house the last couple of days, and my wife happened to be home with me when she wouldn't have normally been, and I asked her if she wanted to watch this with me, and she said, "Sure, I'll give it a shot." So before we watched it, I read the synopsis out loud. Still reeling from the loss of three lives, Hannah is a smoke jumper who's perched in a watchtower high above the Montana wilderness. She soon encounters Connor, a skittish boy who's bloody and traumatized on the run in the remote forest. As Hannah tries to bring him to safety, she is unaware of the real dangers to follow. Two relentless killers hunting Connor in a fiery bliss is nearly in its path. And I looked at Melissa and I was like, that sounds awful. I was
Yeah,
wrong. It was actually a
yeah.
really good movie, I thought.
I'm gonna
I
get.
did, and I did think it was helped that two actors I really enjoy were in this too, and Jon Bernthal, who plays the Punisher, and then he also plays Shane in The Walking Dead, and then Aiden Gillen, who I know from The Wire and from Game of Thrones. So
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. There was a lot of, I don't know, confusion, trying really hard to stuff what should have been maybe 7 or 8 episodes of a TV show into an hour and a half long movie. Um, and but the cast was amazing. I love Aiden Gillian. I love Jon Bernthal. Jon Bernthal. Every time I see him, I like him more. I fell in love with him on as Shane, and then on the Punisher, and now this. I just love that dude. Nicholas Hoult, the way that he played Patrick was fantastic,
which one
absolutely
was he? Was
fantastic.
that the
He
dad?
No, that was Aiden's Jack. That was his partner, the kid
Okay,
that was his
okay,
partner.
okay.
Like that ending scene when Connor's yelling, or not ending, I guess, but closer to the ending, when Connor's yelling at him, "I'll come out if you leave her alone," and he just honestly, that's not going to happen, but I'll make it quicker.
Yeah,
It was just his acting was absolutely amazing. And I go back and forth on Angelina Jolie. I've never really been a super fan of hers, but she does have some roles that she really hits. Like I thought Mr. and Mrs. Smith she was great in. Her rendition of Laura Croft I thought was great. And actually this movie, her character was tough to like, but her performance was flat out amazing, just amazing. And what I mean by tough to like is, of course I was taking notes while I was watching it, but in that opening 20 minutes, it never really established who we should cheer for. Like, are we cheering for the dad and his kid? Are we cheering for the assassins? Are we cheering for Jon Bernthal? Are we why give me a reason to cheer for Angelina Jolie's character? And they never really gave me one because they portrayed her as this crazy, out of control chick who, when it came time for her, like she's popping parachutes in the back of a pickup truck that's driving down the highway. She's loud and obnoxious. There was no reason for me to like her or cheer for her. And then their backstory was, oh, she's on leave because a couple of kids, three people died in a forest fire because supposedly she read the wind wrong. Um, which it I didn't know why I was cheering for her, why I cared about her as the main character. I mean, it felt like there was a moment there where I actually felt like Jon Bernthal was going to be the lead character because he seemed to be the more interesting one.
yeah.
And then
I
of
think
course,
I think the kid was the one I rooted for the most in this.
yeah, as the movie went on, that's who I rooted for too as the kid, and to see how his story went. Um, the other thing that and this came up in the beginning is, and it didn't make any sense because after there was that scene after they found out that he was going to wherever this city was, town was, whatever, um, where they showed this guy getting off of a airplane. He looked like he was a 19-year-old kid, and supposedly he was the boss of whatever mafia family or whatever this was. And We never saw him again.
No.
The rest of the movie. First of all, what was the point of that scene? Secondly, why did the big bad look like a 19-year-old kid?
I don't even remember that scene. Even the guy that we saw that was Aiden Gillen's kind of
Boss.
handler, or whatever. He didn't show up at the end either. We only saw him in that scene too.
Yeah.
And we saw the news people show up there and the marshals, but we never saw them actually broadcast whatever it was that Connor's dad had found.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I kind of felt like the way they wrapped up that, I kind of felt like the way they ended the movie didn't really wrap it up, and that it actually was kind of open for what's going to happen when the marshals show up. Like, could there be a sequel to this where one of the marshals is dirty and this continues on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And the ending with the kid not wanting to be alone, and she's like, "Well, you won't be. I'll be here for you." And it's like, hold on, that's not how child custody works.
Yeah, I know. I looked at that and I'm like, well, wouldn't it be his aunt that would kind of take custody of him?
It would probably be his aunt, or something, his uncle, aunt and uncle, or something like that. Because and then that too, Bernthal got shot. They survived this forest fire somehow in a wooden watchtower. And he was barely alive at the end, to the point where they were calling in a medvac and all that stuff. And his wife, who's pregnant at the time, looks at the guy and says, "No, there's no rush."
Well, it's because he was already dead.
No, he wasn't. They
Are you
literally,
sure?
yeah, because they said when they were rushing for the medvac, why would you rush for a medvac if the guy's already dead?
No, the guy said calling a medvac, and his wife said there's no rush, which told me that he was dead.
Oh, okay.
Because he didn't wake up with her.
Well, I took it the other way because the guy came out of the building where Bernthal was, so maybe he'd already checked on him and realized he was still breathing or something. And he came out and wanted a medvac. Like, why would you want a medvac if there wasn't hope?
I think it was more like, we'll show the wife, we're doing everything we can for her husband, and she was like, no, we already know it's already.
Yeah, true. The other thing that,
and how badass was she with that acetylene too? That was just badass, or whatever the hell she was, that she sprayed fire in Gillen's character's eyes. So that was just awesome.
what was
when his wife sprayed that fire, whatever that
oh yeah
stuff was that she sprayed into the fire. He's like, "You're fighting it the wrong." She's like, "No, I'm not."
yeah. I mean, she was badass throughout this whole thing. The one thing too that really stuck out is this was supposed to be kind of a small, everybody knows everybody town. Two things is they have an enormous firefighter team for a small town that only has 2 cops. The other thing is those firefighters have some serious badass skills for being in such a small town where it's probably just volunteers anyway.
Well, it's a small town, but it's a huge wooded area. They've got to have a lot of firefighters to fight, forest fires.
Right. I just, it kind of struck me because it's like, okay, this is a small podunk town. Yeah, they're in the middle of the woods, but it just blew my mind that they had that many firefighters, and they had the kind of skills that they have. That just was like, okay, for a small town, this is a little stretch.
I don't know that necessarily they were stationed for the town. It was more they were stationed, for the woods.
Park services and all that.
Park services, yeah, because that's right. She did say that. She said she was a fire jumper with park services.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that, I guess that makes a little more sense. But other than that, I mean, other than those few little ticks about it, I thought the acting was good. I just felt like, and the story was entertaining. It was just a movie where I felt like it would have been better served with a 7 or 8 episode series.
I didn't feel that way at all. I thought it was perfectly And I'm always a guy that thinks like, well, why can't this be a series instead of a movie? Um, but I thought this was actually really well done, and I did enjoy it. I even liked the little aside about there should have been two teams because sometimes like you're watching this and you're like, well, wait, they need to kill both these people. They only said two people to kill them both, and they were 6 hours apart. Why? So the movie
Right.
can happen. Well, now we've got that. Well, yeah, we're trying to save money, so.
Yeah, I
And it's kind of a fun thing for a couple of hitmen to be crying, complaining about the bureaucracy of their organization.
well, the other thing too is when he said they should have sent two teams, I'm sitting here thinking, you two are professional assassins and you're going after one guy and his kid. What do you need two teams for? That was my thought process on it. It's like you're two professional assassins.
Right, but it was one for the accountant, and one for the attorney, not two teams for the one family. He was saying there should
Yeah,
have been there
a
was should have
cleanup
been
team.
two teams. No, two teams simultaneously were killing so they were killing them both at the same time instead of
Oh, yeah, taking care of the the
yeah.
attorney and then the forensic guy
Yeah,
instead of
there were
having
six
them
hours. There
have
was
chase.
Yeah. What I did, the only thing I guess in the movie that I thought was a little bit weird was how the fuck did the Hitman team get there before the dad and the son got there?
Yeah, that was kind
When
of
the dad
odd
and the
too.
son knew where they were going already, and the other team had to track them out of the house and look through all their stuff and decide where they were going, and that was a little bit odd.
The only thing I can think is that they slept in the hotel room they were in and maybe had an extended brunch before they fled for their lives. That's the only thing that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Well, because why wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that was like too when they pulled up and they were on the side of the road, I was thinking, oh, and then to find out that they um, were out on the side of the road waiting for these guys to come through.
Yeah. And the other, I guess, the second thing I thought was odd was when she had Connor look through the binoculars and be like, "Are those two guys that are chasing?" He didn't look and say, "Yeah, those are the two guys that are chasing me. That's also my uncle."
Right. And the one thing too is how did he know those were the two guys? Did they get close enough? Because they shot his dad from the top of the hill. Did he
Yeah, I
get
don't.
close enough to them to actually be able to recognize them?
And I also don't remember him ever actually telling her his name was Connor. That's the other thing. I guess that was the fourth thing that I thought was odd. I mean, I
Well,
really did like the movie. I'm kind of like picking like little nits in it, but I remember like he was like, no, I'm not. She's like, what's your name? Fuck you. That's
yeah.
my name.
Well, and she kept calling him Buddy too.
Right. And so then at one time where she calls him Connor, I'm like, wait, when did he say his name was Connor? So
And again, nitpicking, but that's what we do. That part when they're running through the field to avoid the lightning, and she's like, "We'll go in waves. When I say drop, you drop, and I'll run by you." And they did that twice, and then the third time, she just decided to stop dropping and keep running when she ended up getting hit.
yeah.
That was another one where it was like, wait a minute, you're the one that told them how to do it. You did it twice, and then all of a sudden you decided that wasn't working anymore, so you were just going to keep running.
Yep. I guess that was what she decided. I don't know. But I did think it was like a good like hour and a half of entertainment for it was
Yeah, it was fun.
it's definitely better than I expected. Watching reading the synopsis, watching the trailer, I did not really expect to enjoy this movie, and I did enjoy it. So you gave it a 7. I'll probably say 7.5. Right in that range though.
Yeah, it to me it just felt rushed. The story had legs, but they tried to cram in 3 different stories in the beginning. Meeting 3 separate characters that I could have understood the whole assassination plot if they hadn't spent so much time on them. Like we were actually getting to know those characters and what made them tick. And then the same thing with Bernthal, the same thing with the kids, with the dad and his or kid and his dad, and then the same thing with Angelina Jolie's character. We spent time getting to know all of these people. So that's why I said in the beginning, it's like, who am I supposed to cheer for? Who's the main character? Who am I, and I don't know if there would have been an effective way to understand the movie without getting to know all those characters. But yeah.
Well, I don't think movies necessarily have to have a main character. You can have it be kind of, several different main characters. I think this one tried to do that, where the kid, um, Bernthal's character, Bernthal's wife's character, and then also Angelina Jolie's character. They were all kind of four people we were following and supposed to care about.
Yeah, but they also made the hitmen people that we should care about. Like
a little bit.
Instead of just making them dastardly villains, they tried to humanize them by having those little side conversations with, Nicholas Holt's character Patrick apologizing to Aiden or to Jack after the first hit kind of went sideways, and then them talking and listening to their worries about not having a second team and the hypocrisy of their bureaucratic whatever. They gave us reasons to actually root for those guys too.
Well, not to root for them. I guess to care about them a little bit, but
they humanized them is what they did. And I think that might have been a mistake because they're supposed to be the evil villains that we're cheering against. But by humanizing them, there was a few times going, man, I hope I don't want to see him kill a kid, but to me, it was just off that they humanized him as much as they did.
Well, him and our people too, Jeff.
So. No, I get it, but we want to cheer against the bad guy, not be like, oh, I feel bad for them because they're getting screwed by their organization.
Yeah. So, guys, I would definitely give this a thumbs up. Recommend you give it a shot. It's a lot better than synopsis sounds, and like Jeff said, the acting is really good. The plot's good. It's fun. It's really kind of a fun, like hitman versus firefighter versus sheriff versus the actual fire kind of movie. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the little off stuff that they did too, where they had these 4 or 5 main characters that they were following, but then like bringing in the sheriff's wife for that one scene, bringing in the actual sheriff, not the sheriff, his captain or whatever he was, the other guy that he told to mix in a salad every now and then.
Yeah.
And when you're at the diner, bringing in those characters. I guess Arlo wants to be on camera, but they did a good job with that. I think the acting, like I said, the guy that played Patrick, that Nicholas Hoult, Bernthal, and Aiden Gillen, they hit it out of the park with their performances.
Absolutely. And speaking of another thing that I gave it something you have to, Jeff, I don't know if you saw this the other day or not, but we covered Jupiter's Legacy a couple of weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it a 7.5, and you gave it a 9, and you said, I hate this thing ended on a cliffhanger. I really want to see what happens next. I can't wait. And I said, yeah, I said, yeah, I'm sure they're going to have another season because Netflix actually owns Miller World now. So why would they cancel it? They canceled it. They spent $200 million on one season of the show. First of all, I can't believe the budget of that was $200 million. It sure didn't look like it to me. But secondly, yeah, they canceled it.
I hate Netflix. I really do, because all they do is alienate their fans when they do stuff like that. They alienate the people that, because now, Warrior Nun, did they pick up a season 2 of Warrior Nun?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so at least we're going to get a payoff to that one. But this is why I hate cliffhanger endings of seasons, is because now we never find out, unless I guess I go and read the comics, but supposedly Jupiter's Legacy diverted so much from the comics that it's not going to be the same story that I'm following.
Yeah,
but it sucks because
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But it sucks because I wanted to know what was going to happen with Brainwave, him becoming the bad guy, and
Right.
his whole plot. And Brandon, I wanted to see where Paragon went. I wanted to see whatever happened to that Rogers character. I was hoping that they would cover that in season 2, and now I'm irritated because I'm never going to get my payoff.
Yeah, and you're and you wanted to see what happened with Roger, and you're never going to see that. So, yeah. So Netflix did renew both Warrior Nun and Lock and Key, but just not this one. So.
So dumb. I wonder what their reasoning was. It's only been out for what, 2 months?
A month. May
Are they
7th
saying
it debuted.
Are they saying that viewership was that low?
They're saying it didn't generate the buzz they expected from it.
Oh my God, give it a little more than a month, you jackasses. Like, seriously. Now I'm never going to get the payoff because you jumped the gun and cancel it so quickly.
We are going to, well, they're actually, what am I going to say? How would it, they're saying, they're calling it more of an anthology thing now, because the next thing we're going to see from Miller World is Super Crooks, which takes place in the same fictional world, but focuses on the villains in like the 1930s, kind of showing like how the villains got their powers, which is something you wanted to see.
Right.
And also, I guess it's going to be like a kind of like a caper type show, showing like a bunch of villains coming together to pull off the job. So we're going to get more from the same world, but we're not going to get a continuation of Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah, and that sucks. That's because even if they were thinking doing like they did with the Defenders, where they were initially only going to have 1 season of Daredevil, 1 season of Jessica Jones, 1 of Luke Cage, and 1 of Iron Fist, and they ended
one
up
of the show that shall not be named.
And did they ended up with 2 seasons of Iron Fist, didn't they?
What show is that?
1 the one that you dislike so much.
Oh, that one. Yeah, the one with the fake Danny Rand. Yeah. Yeah, that was ended up with like 2 seasons. I think the second season was only 8 episodes or something.
And then they had 3 seasons of Daredevil and 3 of Jessica Jones. I think they only had the 1 season of Luke Cage though, right?
No, 2.
Did they have 2? Okay.
And then they weren't planning on doing the Punisher, but they spun off from Daredevil to 2 seasons of the Punisher as well.
Yeah, and they also did the Defenders. So
right.
Season of that. If Jupiter Legacy was going to do something like that with the shared universe, I'd be maybe a little more okay with it. But that wasn't the plan. They left us on a season-ending cliffhanger, and now just pissed me off.
Yeah, I think it's very odd to buy. It's like I had talked about when we did that Jupiter's Legacy review. When they knew that they were losing their Marvel relationship, they went out and they bought Miller World from Mark Miller, so they had their own comics universe to use. So, even if they wanted to reduce the budget by quite a bit for the second season, I don't understand why you wouldn't at least do the second season still.
Exactly.
It's weird.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
It's frustrating, but it also just doesn't seem like a very good use of their money to buy a comic book property. Like not just get the rights to like actually buy the company and not make more than 1 season of their like flagship brand.
Buy the company, produce a $200 million season, and then pull the plug after a month.
Yeah.
I mean, what were they? It's not like they were coming out with Iron Man or Batman or well known that the general public, not even comic book fans, know about. Right. These are brand new characters that, we're comic book fans. We didn't even know about them.
Right.
So they were really targeting. I don't know why they expected it to be a home run right out the gate, when it was a show about people that nobody really knows about. There's got to be buzz created, and it's going to take time for it to actually become something. And that's something where a couple of seasons might have actually helped them.
Right.
And when you spend that kind of money, at least go all in on it. You already spent a ridiculous amount of money for the rights for it and then producing the first season. The fact that were they expecting new subscribers to come in solely for Jupiter's Legacy when it's not a mainstream, they're not mainstream characters?
I think so.
It's crazy. Crazy.
I agree. So I didn't know if you'd seen that, so I wanted to get your reaction to it. So
Now you got my reaction. It's bullshit.
I did.
That's my reaction.
It is. It sucks.
But I guess whatever. This is why this is one of those reasons why I have a hard time investing in new series for streaming services like Netflix, because they don't commit, they don't truly care about the fans that they actually had. I mean, okay, you want to blow off the series and not create a second series? Throw together a wrap-up episode, or a movie to wrap it up like Firefly did. Do something like that. At least give the people that were fans of it and watched it a payoff. Don't just go, oh, hey, we have one of the main good guys turning evil, and we have this missing character, and we have all this stuff going on. And you know what? Here's 3 middle fingers, because we're going to have 2 people do it. And go fuck yourselves. You're never going to see the ending.
I don't see how they could wrap up this story in a 2-hour.
No, I don't either, but they could have at least got some kind of payoff. Something. Anything.
What I think is more bizarre is what they're doing with The Last Kingdom. I don't know if you've watched The Last Kingdom or not yet, Jeff. I know I recommended it to you, but I don't know if you've actually watched it.
It's on my list.
But there's 13 books by Bernard Cornwell that this series is based on, right?
Mhm.
And they're basically doing 2 seasons, or I'm sorry, 2 books per season. So like season 1 was books 1 and 2, season 2 was books 3 and 4. They're canceling it after 5 seasons, which means they will have done then books 9 and 10. So why not do a 6th season and try to combine all three of the final 3 books with that last season? I don't understand. I don't get.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah, that's what I think is just bizarre. Is why are you ending at book 10 when there's only 13 books? Do 1 more season and wrap it up. Just do 14, just do 12 episodes instead of 8. That's all. So.
Well, and I think that they could have done a movie with some time jumps or something to wrap this up. I just, even if they wrapped it up with them, even though Brainwave is still the bad guy, they could have wrapped it up by having some payoff with Paragon and Utopia, the Utopian, and the Utopian finding out that his brother's this asshole, and all this stuff. There could have been some kind of payoff, even if it was still kind of an open-ended ending. They could have wrapped it up a little bit better. God, I hate cliffhanger season endings.
Yeah, well, they didn't. So
jerks. Stupid Netflix.
Want to hit our social media stuff before we go?
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that. All right, guys. If you're watching us on YouTube, clearly, please do us a favor, hit the like button, subscribe button, ring the notification bell if at any time during this you enjoyed the mockery and the everything else. Our Patreon, it's got our archives, still reorging some of the stuff, but feel free to go over there and check that out. Small donation, you can go ahead and listen to some exclusive stuff that we've done throughout time. That's patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. And, follow us on Twitter. There was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, yeah. And check out the other shows that we do here. We don't only do a pop culture show like this one, but this is our show that we do on Wednesdays. On Mondays, we have a wrestling show where we discuss current and retro wrestling. And then on Fridays, we get Shane's book review. In fact, that one, the latest one that just dropped, was a review of Jade War. And it was interesting. Let's put it that way. definitely caught me off guard, and it was not the kind of book I expected, but we reviewed it. And so what do we got coming up next week? It's Conjuring.
Uh, yeah, we have The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah, and I watched the first Conjuring. Yes, Arlo. Go. Um, the oh, children. Um, and I watched the first Conjuring. I've seen the first Conjuring before, so it was kind of a recap of it, but I forgot how messed up it really was. And then the second Conjuring I'm going to watch this week, and then the third one before next week, or before the show that we do. So
So yeah, same here. And yeah, I had seen The Conjuring also, like when it first came out on video or something. Or, I don't think I saw it on video. I think it was when it first came out on video.
right.
And and I forgot how good it was. So
Yeah,
uh,
and
so it was
I
kind of cool to see that. So I'm looking forward to seeing the next two.
well, and I remember when I watched it the first time, really getting invested in those two real life characters, and like investigating them and finding out because they said the story was based on real life and all this stuff. And going back through, and I like that. We'll talk about it next week, but I like the ending with the wrap up where they actually showed the real life characters and their pictures.
Hmm.
Pictures of the real family and everything. But
Right.
yeah, we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, I was really kind of happy that it was better than I was remembering, I guess.
Yeah.
So
That's always good, right?
yeah, usually is.
All right. Um, so guys, that's all we got for this week. Um, and we will be back with you on Friday, like Jess said, talking about a great not book called Noble Beginnings.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, sounds good to me.
And until then, this is Shane saying long days, pleasant nights, and Jeff saying
We still can't figure out how to end this shit, can we? Goodbye.